He didn't want to write it, and I got totally upset with him at his little report that he gave with song and dance in front of the council. And I
That's
said,
within
this
his
$5,000
duties.
is more than we have, why don't you write it?
That is within his duties.
Yeah.
As
And
a director, you just seek out grants,
I
right?
kinda got a little upset about
That's
it.
what I thought. It was for his job, basically,
As a
to
director,
go
you
find
just
us
go find
these
us.
grants and get it done, which hasn't been done, at least not to my knowledge.
He had to write it.
Yeah,
He
he did
has
write it.
changed quite a bit in the years since I've seen him.
Oh, he's right on the
Goodness.
corner.
Well, he's always
I'm
had
sorry.
backing and cover from the past administration, I'll just leave it at that.
He even hired his own wife to do the section.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that one and I was in disagreement with that. I think,
Well, I
I
brought
think
it-
we talked about that.
Yeah, I brought it up and word got around, and I guess it shamed him, I don't know, or they just told him not to, but he did.
That's
Let
a
her go.
conflict of interest and it's nepotism.
Mm-hmm.
What the Tammy, I don't know if that's true or not, but somebody told me that the Delaware Nation had done $4 million worth of these consultations.
We've done
More than
I keep telling everybody, thank you.
They don't believe us. They
Okay.
don't believe us.
I
Okay.
know.
If you will consider during one week's time, if we were able to turn in between $40,000 and $55,000 just for the consultations that were worked on. And,
17 states, and they're
We've
all
been
sending
missing a lot of
paperwork.
those.
They're all sending letters and they need to pass.
and
That's
during a year's
45,000.
time, the amount was well over $1 million. Because I had a rollover of at least $5,000 every single year. And that was enough for them to go ahead and build their culture center, which I planned, and has not happened yet.
Yeah.
That's actually
They're
something I
working
wanted
on
to
it.
talk to you a
Them?
little bit. That's something I wanted to kind of bring up with you as well, to try to explain a little bit how the Section 106 was helping your tribe culturally and to help pay for programs like the different things they're doing once a month, you know, the culture programs, the drumming and the singing and kids programs.
Okay.
and things that you brought to the tribe.
Here we go back to the board.
Because that is
Along-
something that we definitely need here. We need more
Along
help.
with that, you've got to go ahead and you've got to set up a budget specifically with each one of those things listed. You can't just go into it and say, this has got to go for this, or this month we need this much money. You've got to set a budget, and you've got to stay within the boundaries of that budget. So, say at the beginning of the year, you set a budget of $400,000. Okay, first off, you've got to do payroll. And that's going to be your biggest expense. So with payroll, you're going to end up spending, say, $170,000. That leaves you with how much? Jason?
230.
230?
230, okay. Then the rest of that has to go to your overhead, which is electricity, water,
Utilities?
phone, cable, internet. Okay, so you've got that much more to spend. Okay, with all of that, you've got to divide it up amongst your programs. You've got your, let's see. We have our Princess program under it. So. Which received believe we're at 10,000 if we're in
Did that cover her traveling and all that as well?
Everything.
Representing Delaware, everything?
there. Everything, $10,000. You've got your culture program.
Is that Princess you?
No,
Whatever.
Princess, you. You can refer to me as queen or chief.
Oh,
Booyah!
Booyah,
I just love her. Okay, then you've also got your culture programs.
My, how attitude changes.
No, actually, it's been the same.
you have not changed.
I gotta get out of here.
Okay, your culture programs, that's where you come in and you have your drum group. You have your monthly programs for the kids. You have anything such as dressmaking, moccasin making and stuff, the monthly events.
Language.
Wait. So you put 40,000 towards that,
That would be beautiful.
okay? Put 40,000 of that towards it, okay. Below that, there you go, you get your language program. Your language program, you decide what you actually want to do. Do you want to go ahead and start with the multimedia? Do you want to go ahead and start with iPads and stuff like the Muscogee Creeks have? Go ahead and give yourself, let's see, how much do we have left? 200 and something?
230.
230. So, I would say we go ahead and just put 25 here. Just
More
to
than
start
that,
out.
75,000.
25 to start out with. Okay. Then, you need to also think about your museum, because your museum can also come out with the same thing. You can hire museum people to come in and work for you. A director, you could start them out at 35,000 a year. That can come out of here. You want a library person, somebody to run your library. That can also come out of here. With the library program, you can have the elders reading to the kids. You can be reading in Lenape to them. It would help out everything. But with a library person, necessarily you don't have to pay as much, so put it up to 25,000. How much do we have left after that? I'm so not good with math off my head.
85, 125.
I know you are.
35,
How much?
150, 75. 75 is 205, and then you got 230.
Left,
We've got how much left?
95.
95,000? Okay. All right.
That's immediately the same.
Now, you've got office supplies.
Wouldn't that be under overhead?
No,
No?
no, this is not, this is electric, water, phone, cable, internet.
Okay.
Office supplies, paper, pens, things like
Filing
that.
cabinets.
Filing cabinets,
Plastic boxes.
plastic boxes. So you automatically want to just put about $10,000 in there. Okay, that doesn't mean you're necessarily gonna use that entire $10,000, but it's there. Okay, after that, you've got, let's see, office supplies, library, thinking here. Miscellaneous.
Yeah. Always need that one.
What about the old parts fund?
Elders.
Okay, miscellaneous, you also put $10,000 down on that. But anything that's miscellaneous has to have backup for it. You have to have documentation, and it has to have all the approvals. Okay?
Such as, we're
Such
talking
as-
about,
Receipts?
receipts to show that what it was
Receipts,
spent on and,
Receipts, voting on it, approval,
from the council and
signatures,
stuff like that.
everything. That's not just somebody coming in and saying all of a sudden, hey, I wanna go ahead and have a Hawaiian party this Friday, let's go ahead and order all of this stuff from someplace. So.
Dinks. But, on, the, dang
I'm doing it too, so don't worry.
it just totally went out of my head. Oh, okay. On the, other programs that we have going, that, all that could go in on, this money could go in on that too?
That's right.
Like our, community service and,
Mhm.
that we have and, other programs like that.
Dental
right.
assistance.
Yeah,
You budget
emergency,
for it.
Glasses and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
you could have,
Would that be under miscellaneous or would that be
no,
under?
that you would have a tribal medical. And then you could also have a tribal elder assist. Now, this number up here is only a number to start out with.
Start with, yeah.
Okay. That's just a round number. What you might get in, and what you should get in, is, oh, I'm gonna say roughly about that.
Once we start getting our stuff done right.
That's right.
Okay.
This is what you should be getting in. Now, if you budget yourself for the first year and you only spend so much, you come back and you look at your budget and you see, okay, we've got this and that project. This proved to be a good thing. We can develop this. This did not prove to be a good thing. We had troubles with this and that. Let's totally cut it out. You can adjust this, but you don't have to spend this. And it's best not to spend this entire
Just
amount.
sit there and take that and just put it back to the side.
Put it to the side, have this roll over. That way, in the future, if you guys need money for something, you've got it. But you also have to make sure that you put into your resolution, when you do all of this, that the money is under the control of your group. And it goes to the programs designated. That way, your governing body, whomever it is, say 5-10 years down the line and stuff, you're no longer the head. They can't come in and say, okay, we're gonna take all of your money and we're gonna use it for this and that. No, you've already got this lined up, protecting that money. Okay? So it has to go to these specific things that you've lined out.
So you're saying that the council can't go back later and say, no, we want to cancel out that resolution? Or rescind the resolution?
Or make an addendum.
Make an addendum. You make sure every year to look into that resolution and make sure that they understand that this has to be done through your program, your department, your entity. Unfortunately, with the Delaware Nation, when I was down there, one of the illegal actions that they performed was to take $200,000 from our account there to put towards their sewer system at their new casino. And the only way that they could actually do that was by forcing me to sign a purchase order. So even with that, that showed that they didn't have the power to actually do that. It had to go through the director.
Which was you.
Yeah. And I did put in all of my paperwork that I protested.
Tammy,
Sir,
would, but essentially, you could pretty much do with that money whatever you want, as long as it's budgeted that way.
when
I'm getting it at what.
when you, it's referred to as an administrative fee. Everything that comes in as an administrative fee, when you do the resolution, it's specified for culture. Culture, it has to have some kind of culture relation to it. Now, everything that you've got here, you've got your payroll. This is for everybody that's running your culture programs. You've got your princess, who is part of culture programs, language, museum, library, the office supplies, which helps to run everything. Your miscellaneous, and this would be things like banners or any other things that might be needed. Tribal medical and stuff. Okay, that's your elders. If they need something, they're relevant to the preservation of the culture. All of this stuff. You have to be able to relate it back to the culture. It can't just be all of a sudden, we're gonna go ahead and go out and buy a tractor.
Well, that's what we've
But-
been doing. So I guess that's what my concern is too, because
But the only way that would be viable is if that tractor was going to
Mow the
farm,
powwow grounds or stuff.
mow the powwow grounds.
Elder housing.
Or housing units,
Mhm.
cemeteries.
You would say that.
Well, it's something we just did today, as a matter of fact. We took $1,500 roughly, $1,350.
Mhm.
We put fish in our pond. Is that related to our culture?
Yes, it is. Gathering
I've
food.
got a lot of doubt.
You
A lot
ain't
of
kidding.
a lot of
Oh, yeah.
people that say this.
Big bags under that.
we're teaching our kids how to fish.
And that is a culturally relevant activity.
Still at $228,000.
Does that mean that I can take some of
Yes.
that money and go
Just-
get
it
a
goes
deer
into the
lease for
bank.
the
We
tribe?
gotta find out what's.
Bring food.
Yeah, it does.
Well, that's what I was thinking, cause I got a lot of these young boys
It
that want
does.
a deer hunt, but we really don't have
It
any.
also means that you could put some of the money towards building your own aviary to help with eagles.
That we looked into. We all went to Iowa's, wasn't it?
I still got that grant that they sent us,
I got the CD.
Iowa.
Tammy,
Well,
based
I
on
think
this,
that-
what is your approximate size of your office that handles that?
My office right now,
Or before, or wherever
Before?
you're at now?
prior to the removal,
Enlightenment.
oh goodness. Before I actually left that office, I had 10 employees. And with the 10 employees, I had somebody for the library, the archives, the museum, Princess program, culture events, promotions. There was just 106, clerks, and just an entire office just to make sure everything ran smoothly.
In the setup of an office, what personnel would you basically say we need to start with? A director for sure.
106 person, a clerk, you definitely have to have the 106 person and the clerk. And that's just the initial right there.
Gotta have a gopher.
And, well,
For the
clerk's
clerk's
the
board.
gopher. And you have to have somebody that is,
Archiving?
I would say, has a financial side to them, that
Right.
understands all of this, because they're gonna be working hands-on with the finance office, so that their numbers are matching up with the finance office. And if you get a report from the finance office that says that so much money was taken in during a specific month, and your numbers don't match theirs, it's higher or lower, then that's where you need to go in and figure out what's missing. So it's not the person that's doing the 106 that's going back and tracing down the paperwork, it's the finance person, okay?
Another question.
What you want.
In regard to our situation here, we do have a consultant, or we have somebody who's running the project, who is an archaeologist or in that field, Bryce.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to pull that position down here, would it be appropriate to retain him as perhaps a contract basis?
It would be up to you, generally.
If we could find somebody with the knowledge here within our own group that could deal with all these different sites,
That
museums.
would be ideal, but it would also be, I would also recommend keeping Bryce
With these contacts.
within your loop,
Yeah,
Like consultant?
yeah, as a consultant. I honestly, I would use Levi as your 106 person.
mhm.
Well, that's what we're looking at, setting up an office, getting it back here to where we have hands on it. And that was our original intent to begin with.
Miss Nikki's.
Is that me?
No, she's on her phone right now.
It's had it on library.
What would be an appropriate starting wage?
For your 106 person,
Yeah,
you're gonna wanna pay them between $15 and $18 an hour.
Don't think we have to get
Bo
past the
was
ball.
paid more than that, wasn't he?
Shredding
Who?
paper.
Shredding paper.
Bo what?
yeah, he was getting that $10 for shredding paper.
And your clerk, you're gonna wanna go around 11 to 12 an hour. A lot of what the tribes are going to as far as what they consider minimum wage is $10.
Hear that, guys? I'm about starting back to work in September, I want $10.
And that's, that's primarily because Oklahoma failed us.
Yeah. That was-
So the tribes, we're setting the standard. No one is paying less than $10 an hour for anything.
Nation, I think, is at 11.
What's
Osage- no,
your
Osage are 11.
projection as far as business-wise for a tribe, like our tribe, your tribe? Which tribe are you now?
Just
You're
kind of.
Caddo today, but
Smacking.
you're Lenape
Let me out
here.
of the middle of this.
For our group here, we tie into Anadarko group. Are we stepping on toes? How does that work?
No, you're not stepping on
That's what I
toes.
was
What you're
wondering.
doing is you're defining your area of interest. It doesn't matter how many different tribes claim an area of interest.
Oh, okay, that's what I want to clarify. Because a
Yeah.
lot of people think, oh, they already have that territory.
No,
Yeah, that's what I.
no,
that's what I
it
wanted
does
to-
not matter.
Thank you.
50 tribes can claim one particular area, and that cell tower company, they still have to deal with them, every last one.
Every one of them?
Every last one of them.
Wow, all right.
See, that's a good point.
Now, the only thing we have to worry about, Levi, is all the negativity when, if we decide to hire you as a director of 106.
I haven't made a lot of friends
Well,
Only
gee,
one thing.
I told you you're gonna have trouble when it
I'm
became
from this-
known you as my
there.
nephew.
I'm from this family, so it's just that way.
Levi, it's just normal you.
It's normal. I know.
It's normal you. We've known you for
That's
over
why I
a
say,
decade now.
grow a thick skin and just look at them and laugh and go on down the road and do your
That's all
business.
you can do. Just keep being
Well, it
yourself
ain't,
and
but
keep
that's a
going.
nice way to do it.
Now, then, you're saying if, perhaps like, our tribe, the Anadarko, and the Muncie group, we all can claim the same areas in certain instances.
Yeah.
The company applying for the whatever
Has to
has to
consult
pay
with
each
all
one.
three. That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Or if they don't contact the other two, then just one of the groups is
They're
contacted.
still in non-compliance.
Okay,
You got to do all three, or if they fail.
they'll have to do all three, so
And
they're,
it was the
so
same
one company's
situation
paying
when you guys had
$3,000
that,
per.
that oil pipe, whatever it was, that the Delaware Nation went and approved.
Mhm.
And you had all the flack from the East Coast. Where was that, Nikki, where they had the folks leaving nasty messages on your Facebook about the oil, the pipeline? Pennsylvania. They got an approval from the Delaware Nation, but the reason it got stopped was because they hadn't gotten approval from you guys.
Hello?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Without you, we would never even heard about it.
Yeah.
So that's.
So.
Red alert, when you know these things, when you know
So
your
you
rights.
You can stop these guys in the middle of whatever they're doing if they haven't consulted with you. We stopped the, work on one of the major bridges in New York City and had people cursing our names before. But you know what? Comply. Get the tribe's opinion, find out whether or not it's actually affecting something. And in that instance, there were burials at the other end of that bridge. So they had to comply.
There's an issue now here in Oklahoma or wherever with the railroads and the control safety towers they're building.
Yeah,
And their lawyers are saying that we will submit a request, but if there's no action within 30 days, they're gonna continue with the project regardless.
okay, with that, the railroads and stuff coming through with their new system and stuff that they've got, all you have to do is send a letter to them stating that the Delaware Tribe of Indians will be a consulting party on all of the actions by this railroad in the entire state of whichever it is. And you will contact us, and until you receive a response, the project is not cleared. But you have to go ahead and put that in writing and send it directly to them. That's the way you stop all of that.
And we will not accept multiple projects under one consultation.
Bundling.
Bundling.
We will not allow bundling, yeah.
We went to a meeting in Oklahoma City, John and Levi and I, and we found all this information out over there.
You went to Oklahoma City and didn't come see me?
Oh, sorry.
I'm just.
Back there. John, here. You didn't come see me?
I just hang my head, I'm good.
That's right. You better hang your head.
And we drove by the darn place 3 times before we finally figured out where it was.
Where was it?
Martin Luther King Road, but it wasn't on, they renamed that road to Martin Luther
No,
King.
we crossed the intersection and changed the name.
Oh,
The
yeah.
one that just got cleared to finish the project. We had it inside there in the unfinished building, but we still had a free tour. Stacy Hackman was there to give us the tour of the said building.
I'm sorry.
Does she still do Caddo culture preservation?
No, she doesn't.
Okay.
We are cousins. That's why I know.
We pray for her.
Woo! Tread lightly. Woo! Scariness.
Anybody else got questions?
I'm not waiting for you to answer that.
Bluntly to the facts, which you're well known for that, and no mincing words.
That's
The
right.
current program that we have right now, rating between bull butter and good, what would you say? Okay, good enough. You answered my question.
I told you that.
So,
I would have to say that.
well, I wanted it straight from a professional's mouth.
I said it's
I'm
gonna
amazed
butt
how
on.
Oh, in
many
that case,
years
oh, let me
adventures
say
we've
that.
had.
Yep.
And I'm also kind of scared to think of how many dollars that we've missed over the years. And it's been an extreme amount.
Well, it was supposedly, according to the finance sheet that Chet got and everything, we had only, what, 176,000 in that account?
And.
And that's questionable.
Yeah.
Questionable.
Right, it's already spent too.
$12,000 more dollars in the
Because
last.
we've been getting in trouble for thinking that we had it and apparently.
In 5,
Oh,
no, it's more
Lord.
than that, it was almost 8 months.
It's
They
a
spent
it's a
$12,000
sad
more
amount.
than the
It,
company.
it's time to go ahead and take control of that project, you
Mhm.
guys. I hate to see that because you've got such potential and
Big time.
there's so many things that you could be doing for your kids and for your elders and.
Well, that's what we was looking at here, 'cause, I mean, you know, as, when you were down there with them at Anadarko, you know, that I got looking here and finally had to pull teeth to get an answer on what and how much we even thought we had.
Yeah,
And then I heard that we was only getting 200, you know, for the consultations. I'm going, no, we got it put to us pretty bad.
But is he not required to have documentation to where you can actually request his documentation to see whether that's actually true?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I was talking about this today, because once we're set and solid, the first thing we need to do is when we take over that funds is an audit. It is imperative that we have an audit on them funds.
or you also have to request all of his documents, all of the
Paperwork.
files for every project
It all has
that
to be
comes.
shipped down here.
Yeah,
Well, his students is the one that's doing the research and everything that supposedly, and they don't get paid.
I
They
know.
get a
They get a
grade.
They get a
so
grade.
illegal.
I know. We had to get rid of a lot of things the first few months. This has sadly been on the back burner until now. But as soon as we got the oversight committee,
Don't point your finger at me.
you know,
That's
they've,
rude.
they've been doing exactly what needed to be done to get this on the right path.
Bryce has a website that he put together along with his project assistant, Greg Brown. And on that website are photos and descriptions of all of our funerary objects in different museums that he's collected. Now, this website is password protected, and he's the only one that holds the password, he and Greg Brown. He has not even shared it with us, the tribe. I just
Yeah.
thought, run that by you, because some
He
of
was
those
showing us
things
the
belong to you also. It belongs to the Anadarko and the Stockbridge Muncie.
Yep.
I don't know if they have access to it.
He goes to the conferences and shows everybody.
Oh, my goodness. You need
Has
to
he
shut
shared that
him
with you?
down. No. You need to shut him down. You really do. That's,
No, I told him it's not his decision to make whether he gives that password out or not. We hired him, he works for us, that is our material, that is our belongings, that's our people.
When some of those databases that he was getting grants to create, of course, we created databases and the JPEG images, the museum inventories, and also the archaeological findings that we paid Greg Brown a year's salary to produce. They weren't turned over to our tribe.
Yeah, he's amassing a database of all the holdings of different museums that he's
building-
sharing with other
Trying a book.
museums.
He's
I'll bet
doing
you-
another book?
I'll bet you he's gonna do another book.
another book. Okay, you need to do a cease and desist with him, and you also need to put in there that, any of the information that he's collected
While working for us.
while working for you is the property of the Delaware Tribe of Indians and may not be used to produce any books that will bring him any monetary value.
As a professor, how many times are you required to write?
You publish a parish.
So
That's
you
what
have to publish,
you
how
have
many,
to
you're
publish.
required to publish how many times a year though? I mean, is it pretty
Well,
frequent?
probably every 3 years. Now, Emporia is not a big university, it's not gonna.
But you're still required to publish?
Yeah, you
well.
have to publish.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, you
Okay.
gotta understand, he is the go-to person for Delaware history. He's invited to every conference, ethno-history, to talk about these things. He leads the conferences or the workshops on Delaware history. He is the one that is now the guardian, basically, of our,
That's
But
scary,
do
because
you
I could've
not
wrote
want to
his book.
keep him as the archaeologist and bring just the 106
Well, these are,
here?
you're absolutely, those are good questions, Sue. I mean, do we wanna
Consulting.
alienate Bryce so much that, you know,
Yep.
we want, and there are some people that would say, so yeah, we're
I
really
said
tired
that
of
from the
having this
beginning. You guys don't
non-Indian,
listen to me.
non-Delaware
It
in
isn't
charge,
that so
or,
much, it's a half-assed job he's been doing and presenting to us.
right.
That's what really irks me. Now, the other half, yeah, that comes second, but the main thing is, we've
job.
been getting the,
What
Wrong
you
end of
wanna
the
do is
stick.
just do it in phases. Do it
Yeah.
in phases and get somebody that you can build up to take over that role. Wow. It's just like.
So you
This
would, I
book
would
was
say
generic.
106 first.
I read it, I mean,
and
I
then
could've wrote that
archaeology
book.
like that.
Yeah.
I
Information.
mean, you know,
You don't
nice
have
Give
and-
me a copy and I'll do it.
I know.
Well, I asked him, I said, when did you come talk to our elders on our side of the family? Then he just kinda, you know.
Well, we got to this point, I think a lot of the information, things that I wanted to see brought out, you brought out very well, thank you. Everybody in this room has a good working knowledge perhaps now of what this program entails. Now we can ask direct questions, pertinent questions, we know what to ask for,
We know how
as far
to
as
answer
coming
the
to,
questions.
without getting snowballed.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 members of our committee, of the Prehistoric Preservation and Cultural Committee here.
Prehistoric.
Prehistoric, I like that.
Come on now, Todd.
Hey, we
Prehistoric
were there,
days.
we walked across the water.
That was bad.
We are
Have you
prehistoric.
not let him out in a while?
No, he's been behind the camera.
Well, hey, we've also got 3 council members here, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty certain
Yeah.
there's probably a
Get on the
couple
shoulder over
more.
here.
I think you carried me from your girl.
And that's definitely a majority of 7
Well, you
that
know,
agree.
with us at the
We've
Caddo,
got to do something.
we're working really well together. And this is the first time that the
Inflammatory.
council has actually shown up at the same places a lot.
For sure.
For sure. We went to the
Right.
Princess Dance. My niece was named Princess this year. And every last member of the council showed up for the Princess Dance. And that hasn't happened in almost 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
glad to hear it, glad to hear it.
We have something for you, Tamara.
Yeah.
You hold it like it's a head.
We have more things for you, Tamara, be a little bit kinder. We appreciate you coming anyway and sharing this information.
Definitely,
I'm
definitely.
here for you guys whenever you need me. Just give me a phone call. I will come up. I will talk to you via speakerphone and stuff. Just whatever you need. And you guys have supported me throughout the years, and I appreciate it. And for me, I have a kind of a special kinship with you guys because my family always came up here to Capan, and we always danced here. So this is one of my more favorite places.
Wonderful.
It's the chief's emergency kit. Sweet grass, you got your sage, cedar, little fan.
Quit catching at your tainted.
Yeah.
Now, if I didn't say that, it wouldn't be me, man.
I agree.
This is so cool.
Isn't it cute?
Oh my goodness.
That's
And
You
it's
can
got
keep that on your desk in your office.
a beautiful little shell.
Yeah.
There's
Just
sweetgrass
enough
in
to
there, they
burn
come in
it.
and get it, light it up.
That's beautiful.
Smudge 'em.
Thank you guys.
Oh, and it's smart sheet, how to use it.
Have I gone
They
down a little
just, they
bit?
just comes right out there, I don't know where it
Taking a
comes
drink
from.
right now.
Open it again and feign excitement again.
Better?
I'll be on Facebook tonight.
Dear.
Oh, I like that.
I'm supposed to stay off Facebook.
You do good. I haven't seen you on there for a while.
I know, my husband kind of monitors it.
I was gonna say, are you deleted like I am? I'm deleted a lot of places.
Kick her off, basically.
Keeping me safe, keeping people out of me and the kids' business. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I had somebody that had gone on there and downloaded a whole bunch of the kids' pictures.
Oh, wow.
So I actually had to block them from the page.
Yeah.
Well, I learned a lot, thank you so much.
Yes,
Yeah, I
and if you
appreciate
need
it.
anything, call me. Please, share my number with them. I'm not
Like
about
I
to
said,
write
like
it
you
up
said, we'll
here.
probably do this at my urging of council, about slowly stepping, Bryce out, or.
Don't bring it out, don't bring it out in council yet.
You know what I'm saying, in the
Well,
one
let it-
area and then
Yeah.
over here to the.
Let us as a committee step that as a recommendation
I'm not
to
gonna say anything, John.
No, I'm talking about
At my
the way
urging.
that we do it.
Oh, the TCNS
It's
website?
just,
Yeah.
Well, don't let me
take it
do
out.
it.
We'll get on
Oh,
there.
well, we'll let you present it, don't matter to me.
We can change. No, ma'am.
But,
Turn it off.
yeah.
But this is the woman that we contacted.
Can
Yeah, well, that
everybody
was,
here
it was
go
a
eat
good,
with us?
good deal.
Okay.
I
You're gonna go eat?
Yeah, I'm gonna
go.
Dude's gonna go because she's riding with
Jason
me.
says okay.
Go eat.
And it's all good.
And it's all good. Yeah.